Welcome back to Switched to Linux. So today we are going to work on the first part of a small series of videos where we are going to set up our Fedora installation through our virtual machine to run on our Mac. Now, this series will be a little bit longer than the one for Windows is going to be because we are using Fedora, which is a more complicated Linux system to work with. And again, the reason I'm using Fedora is because it allows you to set up the system to operate like, at least look a lot like a Mac if you're familiar with how a Mac works. Of course, the operating of the system will actually be more like Linux, which in many ways is kind of a combination of the functionality of a Mac and a Windows system. A lot of the shortcut keys, commands, options with your folders and stuff just seems to behave a lot more like a Windows platform. However, there's a whole lot of stuff, mostly dealing in security, that is a lot more like a Mac. So without further ado, we are going to get our VirtualBox loaded up. So in the last video, you recall we loaded up the installation of Fedora. I called mine Fedora 2 because I already have a Fedora install here. I'm going to start my VirtualBox, and I didn't want to minimize it. I just wanted to kind of make it smaller over here while it's booting up. And while this is booting up, I wanted to look at a couple web pages here. So there's a whole lot of websites just like this, 25 things to do after you install Fedora 24. So there are several of these types of articles out there. A lot of these articles are going to be doing things through the command line. In fact, pretty much all of them will. As I had mentioned when, if you were looking through this site, I really want to focus on teaching you how to do a lot more things through the user interface, which the user interface is a lot slower. If you walk through this list and do these steps through the terminal, it'll work a lot faster for you. But I realize a lot of people have difficulty working with the terminal or don't understand it quite as much, and that's quite okay. So what we're really going to do here is walk through a lot of the initial steps to set up a good working Fedora machine without having to go into the terminal as much as possible. Now, the other website I pulled up here this is the best tutorial I've seen on getting your guest editions working. So Linux in general does not need to use this guest editions. This is specifically a VirtualBox thing. So this is what is going to enable our VirtualBox to run at full screen. Otherwise, it's going to run in a smaller window like you see here. So we're going to do an entire separate video on just getting the guest editions installed. It will be a fairly short video once we have everything else and we're prepped to do that. However, what we're going to do in this video is we're going to get the dock on the bottom of the screen, we're going to get the system updated, and then we're going to get ready to go ahead with the guest editions. So I'm going to log into my Fedora machine here. And I'm going to hit my Command F on my Mac to go into full screen just so we don't have the distraction of the other stuff laying around. So you'll notice, of course, that it is confined within this box that you'll see pop up here in just a moment. Okay, so we have our workstation up. I have not touched this install since we have done the installation in our last video. So if you hit activities up here, you can view what we have. Again, if you need to find something, you can come up here. If you're looking for settings, you can just start typing and it'll fill out the search box up here at the top. So the first thing that we are going to do is I'm going to go into the Software Center, which is over here. And if you don't happen to see that just from the screen, type in software, you'll see it show up. So the Software Center is kind of like your App Store. When the first time you log it in, it's going to show you this Let's Go Shopping button. Shopping is a relative term. The majority of things that you're going to find in here, at least the majority of things I've ever looked up in here, are free. So it's not like we're buying anything. And this has never bothered me or prompted me for a credit card like my Android phone does every single time I go into the Play Store because I need an app or something. Enter your credit card. No. All right. So the first thing we are going to install, there's two things that we want to install right now. The first is the tweak tool. Just type in tweak. you'll see it's the Gnome tweak tools, the first thing on the list. It's under utilities. We're going to hit install. Now this is going to take just a few moments to install, and so while this is installing, I'm actually going to turn on FireFox for the next thing we need to do. So I'm going to go back up to the activities in the upper left-hand corner and load up FireFox. So Fedora, particularly the Gnome desktop that we're using on this Fedora, allows you to install extensions from a certain location on FireFox, which we will find inside the tweak tool. However, FireFox for security turns all of the various plugins and extensions on the browser to ask to activate mode, and that interferes with you being able to get onto that extension. It will get there and it won't ask you to activate. And so what we need to do is we need to come in here and we need to turn on the ability for that plugin to work. So over here we're going to find our hamburger menu, which is these 3 lines here. That's kind of right under the X in the upper right corner. Click on those 3 lines and you'll see the add-ons tab. So under the add-ons tab, under plugins on the left, so get add-ons, extensions, appearance, and plugins. We want to click on the plugins, and we can see the Gnome shell integration over here says ask to activate. We are going to say always activate. All right. Now, the other one we're going to turn on just for now, and I've actually never played with this, but I imagine that later in the series of tutorials, I'm actually going to need to do this. I'm going to turn the Open H.264 video codecs also to always activate. That is a video codec that's going to enable you to watch some videos online. And I haven't explored this initial installation of Fedora right out of the box enough to know, is that just YouTube, or maybe this allows you to work with like a Hulu or a Netflix or an Amazon Prime or something. We're just going to go ahead and install it for now. So we have this activated, we have everything done in FireFox we need to do, so let's go ahead and close out FireFox. Now you'll see that by the time we are done messing around with FireFox, our Gnome tweak tool here is installed. You can tell because it has the red remove box there. So the second one that we would like to install is the Yum extender. So the Yum extender, parentheses DNF, we want to install this. Now, some people consider this a more advanced package. There is one of these for the Yum, and in an Ubuntu type platform, it's called the Synaptic Package Manager. The reason I install it, and we'll be using it through this tutorial, is it will allow you to do things like update and upgrade your system and install certain packages without having to go to the command line. Again, if you can get comfortable with the command line and you use the command line, it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to do. But I'm keeping to my promise to do everything through the graphical user interface. I want to show you that for the most part it can be done. Now there's going to be a few things that we can't, but so you can see our Yum extender is set up here. So we're going to go ahead and close this. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to go through the tweak tool, which will allow us to adjust some settings here. One thing I like the desktop icon and the folder icon right on the desktop. I work off of a desktop, and that's actually why I like the Linux Mint system and the Windows system. I found that the Mac system makes it difficult to work off the desktop, and since that's what I'm used to doing, that's kind of how I like my setups. So we're going to go up into Activities, and we can just type in the tweak tool here. If you are looking for where the tweak tool is found, in Activities, these 9 dots is the Show All Applications button. So if you click on that, it will give you all of the applications. You can set between the frequently used applications and all applications. The tweak tool falls under Utilities, so find that box there, and then scroll down in your tweak tools down at the bottom. So the tweak tool allows you to do some things that the regular settings inside the system does not allow you to do. Most Linux distros will have a tweak tool of some form or another to give you a little bit more control over some of the functions. So first we're going to go to Desktop, and I'm going to turn on desktop icons. So I want home, network servers if you want that, trash. Mounted volumes, I like turning this on because this will show you if you have a USB port or whatever, it'll show up on your desktop. Same type of function that a Mac has. If you plug a USB port in, you'll see it'll be on the desktop. All right, so under extensions, I'm going to come back to this one in a few minutes. I'm going to walk through the rest of the tweak tools. There's a couple of things I want to do in here. I just don't want to do them quite yet. Under fonts, you can change your font sizes, styles, things like that. And I can just walk through all these items. So if you want to change your pointer options, your middle click buttons, things like that, you can do that. Here is for power settings. Startup applications, if there's any programs that you want to turn on as soon as you turn on the computer, you can hit the plus here and add them. Okay, the top bar, that's the bar up here at the top. I like showing the date, which is handy. You can show seconds if you like, and there is the show week numbers, which you can do inside the calendar. If you click on this, there's a calendar there, so you'll see the week numbers listed there. Okay. And this calendar up here, this is also, by the way, the notification box. So you'll see the Gnome tweak tool is now installed as a notification. All right. So you'll also notice that our clock is in 24-hour military time. I will show you how to fix that later. That is actually in the settings, not the tweak tool. Under typing, there's some options there. Under window, I like coming down here. For some reason, I don't know why, the Fedora Gnome 3 does not have your minimize and your maximize buttons, which is actually very annoying. So I'm going to turn those on. And then you can set workspaces there as well. Okay, so I've set those items there. I'm going to come back to extensions. And right now I'm going to hit the Get More Extensions. So I'm going to install an extension called Dash to Dock, which will allow our dock that's very similar to the one that is on the Mac. So there's a search bar. On my window, it's a little bit hidden because of the size restrictions on my computer here. And I'm just going to type in Dash to Dock over here. Just type in Dash. You'll see it's the second item down here. Dash to Dock. This will pull this up, and then you'll notice there's this black button over here that says Off. Toggle this to On. And now the Dash to Dock installation will begin. Hit the Install. If I minimize my windows here, you'll see that our dock is now perpetually stuck to the side of the system. Okay. So I'm going to close FireFox. That's all I want to do on that for now. And then with my tweak tool here, now we want to come in here and make some adjustments, but I can't do it. And I have to remember if I can do this right now or if I need to reboot the machine. I'm just going to double check it now. We might have to do a quick log out, log back in. And what we're looking for is the Dash to Dock will now give us settings in the tweak tool under extensions. And here it is now showing up in the extensions. So I'm going to hit the settings, which is over by the blue remove button. And then this is going to pull up some settings. So here is where the location is. We're setting this up like a Mac. So I'm going to hit bottom. And then I'm going to turn off the intelligent auto hide. And you'll see it will automatically jump the windows up above it, exactly like the Mac does. Over here, I can limit the size of the dock to the size of the window. I can adjust the icon sizes here. I could even make them huge. So if you like them really big, you have that option. If you like them really small, you have that option. Okay, under behavior, we can show favorites, show running applications. This one here I like to turn on, move the application button to the beginning of the dock. So that'll now put my 9 dots to show all applications over here. This is essentially like the launch pad on the Mac. So it essentially does the same function. Okay. Under appearance, we can use some built-in theming stuff, which is going to set the dock to whatever the theme wants us to use. Or we can go ahead and make some specific customizations myself. I like turning on a little bit of opacity here. I just like the effect of the image and whatever windows are coming up kind of behind it a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm done with my dash to dock, so we will close that out. Now the next thing I like to do is up here, if you look at the activities and you click it, it will pull up this window here, which will give us all of the windows. It's effectively the same screen as hitting the F3 on a Mac, where it will show you all the open windows. I traditionally haven't used that type of system before. So what I like to do is I like to go to a start menu type format. So I turn the applications menu here on. And now when I hit the applications, I get a nice list. And you'll see that everything in this list is set up based on its classification. So here's your Office programs are over here. Your sound and video is over here. So we have a lot of different items here. So now here's where you can get to your system tools, your utilities, so your tweak tools down here. I just like that. That's more of a preference thing. If you like that function and that feature, you can just keep that toggle switch there off. All right, so we're going to close this out. Now you'll notice that we added the desktop icons. You'll see that they're huge. If those are too big for you, and if you like them big, cool, they're already there. If they are too big for you though, just open up the window by double clicking on it. And then up here by your minimize button, there's 3 other buttons. There's a search. The middle button here will actually allow you to change the tiles, and this guy here gives you the context menu. So you can create a new folder, new tab, whatever else. The middle button here is your view sort. So you can view by your list or by your icons. And this little slider underneath the icons is what controls the size of the icons on a global level on the site. So there, I like changing them to be about that size, is what I like. So you'll see here that we have done our basic setup. We have walked through putting the dock on the bottom, given it a little bit of transparency. We've allowed FireFox to run the extension system so we can go ahead and quickly do some updates. And we're pretty much ready to start doing a few other items. So at this point in time, we're going to close out this video, and we're going to come back next, and we're going to go into that Yum extender and have a look at what that actually does. So I'm going to hit my Command F, go back into my Mac screen, and we will go ahead and shut down the computer. And then we will walk through the updating and upgrading next time. So this has been Tom at Switched to Linux. Come on back to the site at switchedtolinux.com for some Linux tutorials, tips, tricks, and some other nice features.